Hello, Noble Knitters. It's Nancy Queen, and today I'm here with another free shawl knitting pattern, and I can't wait to show this to you. It is a large triangle shawl. It's a traditional triangle shawl pattern. There's so many of these out there, but I'm going to take you step by step how to do it, and you're going to see some knitting success, that's why we're here. But it's made from one skein of Lion brand mandala yarn. It's a self-striping yarn, and the increases are very easy to make. The entire shawl is knit every row, so even if you're a beginner, this is one you can do with the quick and easy tips that I'm going to show you to make it. So let's turn things around and get started. Okay, I'm going to be creating a mini version of the shawl, so I want to show it to you so you can see exactly where we're starting on this project. So it's up at the top here, and we're working from the top down. And it works, it goes outwards, and we'll be working back and forth as I show here. And if you look, you can see where the increases are made with those holes that are the eyelets made by making a yarn over, and where the bind off is edges, which is right there. Now the center stitch is going to be very important for keeping track of your increases in this project. So we'll be using stitch markers to mark that out. It's not scary. I'm going to take you step by step through the whole thing. So here it is in the larger shawl. You can see the eyelets we created, the bind off edge, and how nice and beautiful this looks when it's finished. I also want to mention that there is a free PDF downloadable pattern for this project. You can get it in the link above or check the description below. I'll also include links for all of the materials, which I'm going to show you next. I used one skein of Lion brand mandala yarn for this project, and it's 590 yards of self-striping yarn. I also used a size 5 40-inch needle, a finishing needle, and a pair of small scissors. Finally, you'll need 4 stitch markers. Make sure that one of them is different from the other 3. Now let's get started. When you're using a self-striping yarn, you can choose which end of the cake that you're going to begin your project from. So I liked the center of the skein as the top of the shawl and the outside as my final edge. So I started with the center of the skein and worked outwards. So let's begin by casting on 5 stitches, and then we are going to knit the first 2 rows. For this project, I'm holding my needles using the continental style. It's fast, quick, and provides consistent stitches. Check out the link above to try continental knitting style for yourself. We're moving on to row 1, or the setup row of this project. This is where we add our stitch markers. So I'll begin by knitting 2 stitches. And now I will add the contrasting stitch marker. This lets me know that when I hit this row, I'm going to be doing my increases. So now I did a yarn over and I added another stitch marker. Now I knit the center stitch and add another stitch marker. Now I do another yarn over, and I'm going to add the final stitch marker and knit the last 2 stitches. That's all you need to do for your setup row. Everything is easy from here. Take a moment to look at your finished row and make sure that all of the stitch markers and yarn overs are in the place they need to be. Row 2 is easy. We're just going to knit all the stitches and the yarn overs across the row while slipping those stitch markers. So we're going to knit 2 stitches, then slip the stitch marker from one needle to the other, then knit that yarn over. Now we're going to slip that next stitch marker, knit the next stitch, which is the center stitch, slip the marker, knit the yarn over, slip the last marker, and knit those last 2 stitches. Okay, now we are on to row 3, and this means that we are back to the colored stitch marker, and that means we are increasing on this row. We'll be increasing 4 times across the row. So I'll knit 2, move that stitch marker from one needle to the other, do a yarn over, knit the stitches to the next marker, and when I get to that marker I do a yarn over and slip the marker. Now we knit the center stitch, then we slip the marker. We don't want anything around the center stitch ever, only the markers. And now we do a yarn over, knit across the row, and then when we get to the next stitch marker we do a yarn over, slip the marker, and knit the last 2 stitches. Now we're on to row 4. We're going to knit all of the stitches across the row while slipping the markers. I have good news. You've just learned the entire pattern. Everything here from here on out is repeating rows 3 and 4. So you have your increase row, which is row 3. You'll be increasing 4 times across the row, and then row 4 is to knit all of the stitches. It's just a repeat of those over and over again until you get to the desired size of your shawl. After knitting a few more rows, I'm going to stop at that center stitch and show you just what your shawl is working up like. And it looks like that tiny shawl swatch I showed you in the beginning. And this is how it should look. You'll see you have your center stitches with eyelets on each side and then eyelets along the bottom where the increases are at each end of the work. When you've finished your shawl and you're ready to bind off, that's what we are going to cover here. So you knit the first 2 stitches and then bring the yarn up and over that first stitch and then remove the stitch marker. Now knit the next stitch and bring that first stitch up and over. And you're just going to keep repeating this process all the way along, removing the markers and having 2 stitches on the needle and then bring the last one up and over. Now one of the things I want to tell you about your shawl is I knitted mine until I had 313 stitches on the final row. I ended with a row 3 and then my bind off, I didn't do any increases, I just bound off all of those knit stitches. And the finished measurements of this shawl are 48 inches across by 22 inches deep at the center point. And like I said, you can get this information on my website if you need more. Come back and review and rewind and go at your own pace. When you've reached the end of your shawl and you're down to that final stitch, clip the yarn, leaving about a 4-inch tail, and then just pull the tail through that last loop that was on the needle and tighten it. Now you'll be able to weave in the yarn ends and you'll have a completely finished project. And don't forget, there is a free PDF downloadable pattern. I'll provide a link above as well as in the description below. You'll go to my website, download the free pattern, and you can refer to it and use it along with this video. I'm here to help you become a better knitter with every stitch. Subscribe for weekly videos, click the bell notifications for every time I post, and don't forget to like this video. Thanks so much for watching.